Hey, welcome to day 60, embodiment. So if I'm saying that this ride gets more and more interesting, that is starting to feel a bit repetitive, but it's a wild ride, this. I have to be honest. It's like breathtakingly transformative for me. Because I can also feel I can sense the shifts of the energetics in the air, that we are moving into something completely different. And embodiment, this term has been around for a while, but I had this discussion today, and I'm feeling that this whole conversation is about to change, because there's a level of the global consciousness that is rising, and someone else probably has a lot of good explanations to why it is like this. However, I'm noticing that there is a big shift in people. It's difficult to... I was going to give it a go and explain the imagery that I see of the energetics, but I'm not going to do that. It's too vague. But I can definitely sense that something is shifting, and that the general basic knowledge is rising. And I believe that there is a combination of astrology, there's a combination of access to information. Like, once we got access to the AI, I think there is a huge consciousness level, and also it also has an impact on the nervous system. So globally, we are affected by these changes and choices and shifts. And I can notice that there's definitely this boldness and more courageousness, and people are standing much stronger into their truth, and they know more. And the basic knowledge about the embodiment and the nervous system, and how the emotions are affecting us, and like the depth of it, that it's actually a huge deal. It's not just, are you keeping track of your cholesterol? It's the human body is just so much more complicated than that, and it's just not that easy. And that it becomes that the general public is starting to understand the level of the nervous system and the level of the impact that the emotion has, and that the awareness of how things are connected is changing. And if you look at the somatic work and the nervous system work, of course, if you look at it from a very broad perspective, and you start to look at medication and the pharmaceutical aspect, most drugs are some shape or form trying to mimic a way that nature is affecting the nervous system. So it's all nervous system. The base of our existence and how we perceive life is through the nervous system, and it also directly affects the ability for the body to self-heal. So of course and then you understand how for how long the knowledge has been here, but the general public has never been informed on that level about the importance of the ability to regulate your own nervous system. And that's the key to all anxiety. It's just, of course there's complex cases, and that it has a lot to do with a lot of other things. because once we are entangled in deep patterns, it's not only the thing that we're doing, it's entangled in everything that we do. So that's why it can be difficult to stop with certain addictions and things like that. So of course there's a respect for it, and that's not, I mean, no one can say that I don't respect the nervous system. So however, I am noticing that, yeah, so if we look at how long has this knowledge been around, it's been around for a long time, but it not in the sense for the general public. So now the awareness of the general public is rising pretty quickly, and in a very good way, I feel. However, there's also this parallel. What we're going to notice is that information is going to travel around like this. There's going to be true information and false information, and people are going to, you know, people are kind of hunting for the awareness and the belief systems of people because people want to sell their product. And so the general public is becoming more and more aware of who's trying to grab my attention, because all of this is becoming much more transparent, and we start to notice this differently. So that's what I'm noticing in people, that this information is becoming more transparent. But we're still in a very early stage where people are coming out as, somatic healers, or that I'm a nervous system specialist. I mean, we can say that it goes back more than 50 years, but I mean, it's a very modern phenomenon. So we're still in the early stages of this implementation of this higher and deeper knowledge, and because when you start to learn about the nervous system and the emotions and how everything's connected, your internal authority just skyrockets, because you become an agent of your own being, because you're not like, no, there's nothing wrong with my knee, no, I can feel that, and you can feel that, this type of treatment, no, it doesn't resonate. I'm going to try this one. Like when I had a very strong case of aura, with migraine with aura, I lost my speech and my memory and my everything. Everyone thought that I had a stroke. And then I went to see a specialist, and he suggested old school antidepressants. Old school. And I said, I'm going to try the acupuncture first. And you might think that the response would be, okay, you do that, let me know if you need anything else. Like, don't apply your own idea. And he said, well, when you realize that that's not going to work, you can always come back. Fantastic response. And I just said, yeah, sure, I will do that. And I went to see an acupuncturist for a bunch of times, and then never came back. But what do I know? So the level of embodiment is also going to change, because what the first cohort, the first, like the healers and the therapists, and that really started to incorporate the nervous system, it's almost like there's a belief that, it's like, now I have this piece of the puzzle, now I don't need to do anything else, because I know about this this topic. I know how to implement it. I know how to work with it. And I know it's very, very important, and everyone's getting real results. So it's like, okay. But then there's the embodiment aspect of this, because you can only heal someone to a depth that you yourself, your being, has done or has completed, because otherwise the system to system is there's just no trust, because the way that it really works is that there's one body leading the way, and the other body can feel that, oh, I can do this to this level, it's been done. And that's called the reference for that is when there's world records being broken, and there's some world records over time that has been these beliefs that they cannot be broken. And then when someone breaks it, then no one breaks it for years and years and years and years, and then one person breaks it, and then 10 other people doesn't breaks it the same year, because it's body to body, it can be done. Okay, then I'm just going to do that. And that is how it works with deep level of healing. Because if the person in front of you, who is the guide, has never been there before, then it's just two people who are lost. If the other person hasn't been there before, it's not a guide. That's the point with the guide, that the guide has been there. Like, where are we going? Like, I don't know. But you're saying this is safe? Yeah. It says right here. You go first. No. I'm not doing this. Like, no. I don't have that going on in my life right now. So you're not on this journey. No. I did the 3 first levels, and then life happened. I was busy with other things. Okay, cool. Yeah, no worries. But you're still gonna be my guide. Yeah. I worked with this for 20 years. And you haven't came further? Maybe there's someone else who's actually been down this road that you're suggesting that we're going through. That's kind of how the body works, because if there's no preference for the body, it doesn't know where it's going. So when you have someone in close proximity that has been to the depth, then just being in that presence is going to change it's like we calibrate with each other. But we've spoken about this, and the point is that I've been saying also that everything is going to become more transparent, and all of these discussions. And so when people are, and with no mud, no lotus, if there's a lot of mud, there's going to be a lot of lotuses. And those lotuses they are in need of guides. And when you find a guide who says, yes, I've been here, and then there's going to be a level where you just feel like if the healing stops, like if you're not getting any progress, that could also be that the person hasn't gone to a deeper level, or it is the fact that the body is just unwilling to go there. And that is what is happening now also with the fire horse energy, is that we're going to see a lot of more embodiment, a lot of more fire and purpose and heart, and all of this is gonna, it's going to be very apparent. Because if you don't really like what you do and you're just in there in it for the money, and you're just, wasting people's time because you're not, all of those are going to that's people are going to notice. So I believe that there's a level of somatic healers and teachers that believe that they have come to a point where they think like, yeah, I got this, when there's actually so much more depth. There's a depth of the being. That's where the treasure is. And I believe that this is going to be the one thing, when people realize that this can be done by yourself. You just got to dig your own, you just got to go through your own trash. When people realize, "Okay, all I got to do is to go through my own trash." Yes. Really? Yep. All I have to do is to feel everything, process that, and slow down and adjust to a better life. Yes, it's gonna suck. Yes, it's gonna suck, but that's it. That's all it is. Yeah. When people realize they are, and people are getting this, people are popping. One of my mentors says people are popping like popcorn. So we're seeing a very strong force of this energy rising, because the what I'm noticing is that it's going to come through the young entrepreneurial women. They are going to be teaching this left and right, and they're going to be very successful, because this is the beginning of a new era, I believe. People helping other people, and people investing in themselves, and people walking each other home. And there's going to be a lot of quackers in that. Because the healing industry is already getting a lot of pushback because of all these fake people, offering results that hasn't been lived, and then therefore cannot be handed over to anyone else. So then a lot of people said, yeah, but I did the work, it didn't work. Yeah, but who did you do the work with? People don't understand this level of connectiveness that we have, and the impact of a person just being around another being can have such tremendous impact. And the level of the human touch is just so powerful. And all the studies now that I mean, not now, but how deeply children are affected if they are just separated from the mother, even just for a millisecond after the birth. I mean, imagine, it's just, the nervous system is such a thing. And we are so affected. And this embodiment level is going to be, with all of this AI, it's going to be the real deal. And I think there's still parts of the somatic community that believes that being regulated is being, soft and gentle and kind, and you never react, you never have a range, you're the same, and you're just very soft and sweet. And of course there are people who are designed like that, but that's not what regulated means or embodied means. Embodied means that you understand what happens and you allow the body to go through the change, and to the absolute best of your ability, you are not doing any damage to anyone else or yourself. But it's not about this shrink to fit. And it's not about, because if we want to grow as people, we have to expand the nervous system. And when we expand the nervous system, something that we didn't know existed in there is going to get triggered. And then you're going to go, ah, you know, but that's the gateway to that's the gateway to heaven. You just overcome it as quickly as possible. And this way of living is so rewarding and such a growth experience. And that's a process that you need to embody. That's just not that's just not a course that you take and then you're done. You know, it's a devotion to the practice itself. It's a devotion to life itself. It's a devotion to, who am I? Am I here to my full potential? And I'm not saying that everyone has to go, you know, to the depth, but there's an awareness of that. That's how it works. That is just not really, that I feel it's this connection to the everything, and understanding that the process never ends. You know, everything is always in motion. And there's no problem, because everyone's going to be on different levels, and that's not a problem, because people are going to be on all levels. So you have to have someone at any level. But how are they going to stay with you if you are not evolving? If they are on an evolving journey, how are they going to stay with you unless you are evolving? I mean, they don't have to. I mean, the coaches that I have, I'm not interested in them because of the information that they have today. I'm interested because I know that they keep evolving. So there's always going to be new. I know I'm not accessing the stuff that they have been teaching for 15 years, because they've moved past that. And that's why I think that this format suits me very well, because I can share in real time. And then there's breadcrumbs, and there's a process to follow, and there's something to it's the growth in real time. And I think that we are that's going to be really valuable for people to kind of, for nervous systems to see, okay, I can, this can be done. Okay, then I can do that too. And that's what the embodiment is about. It's not, you know, it's about being aware, and not, I mean, maybe staying in your lane, or in one's lane, like knowing where you are. That's what I'm talking about. There's nothing wrong with being at different levels. It's about being at a level and believing that the level that one is at is higher than it is. It's more like, okay, being aware, okay, but this is where my magic lives. This is where I love, this is where I thrive, this is where I feel the best, this is where people really resonate with me. Everyone has their own style. And teaching just a piece of the puzzle is also fine, because it's going to be something for everyone. But it's the awareness that I'm speaking about. And I feel like the embodiment discussion and the embodiment evolution, for the people who are committing to more of a process and a way of life, they are going to have much better results over time, and they are going to really find what they are looking for, because it's inevitable. If you keep searching, you're going to find what you're looking for. That's just how it works. But it's not the goal. The journey is the goal. It's the choosing oneself, and giving a better life to oneself. It's crafting your own reality and having the absolute pleasure of being able to do that, and knowing and having the gratitude for that in the same time, and do something good with the time that we have here on this planet, for ourselves and for our loved ones, and also for other people. Because if conscious and well aware people, if they are successful, then they are naturally going to spread that, and share the resource and the knowledge, and the deeper work that people are doing, then we are able to spread that into the community. And that is really why I am teaching the feminine embodiment, because there's a lot of women who are out there ready to really step into a new, more, embodied version, and closer to truth, and closer to love, and closer to purpose, and live from that. And just by showcasing, that's the role model, because you have people around you. And that is, the core of my teachings, really, that there is a way to set ourselves free and unlock the body, and really have an opportunity. And these levels of opportunity hasn't really come around, for a very long time. We have to go back to other worlds, because the modern woman has not really been able to operate on that level. We haven't been able to create that level of safety in our bodies for centuries, or ever. And once we are clearing that, the consciousness is shifting, and when we are choosing peace and operating from peace, from a nervous system that is not full of fear, because that is one of the deepest imprints of mankind at the moment. It's the level of fear. It's deep, 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 deep levels of fear that doesn't allow us to operate on the level of intelligence, because the fear shuts off so many basic. The stress is what's really having a very, very negative effect on the body. The stress from fear, from the different emotions. And that is where the nervous system and the emotions are so connected and so important. This knowledge is what is really draining our life force and creating strong habitual belief systems that is keeping us kind of stuck in a reality that we don't have to be in. And the more level of embodiment we can have, we know intuitively what to go. We are just becoming higher intelligent beings, because everything is turned on into the system, and then you operate from that level. And that is the level of embodiment that can be taught and can be reached. That is not very common, but it's going to become more and more common. And that, I think, will be one of the biggest and strongest currencies that we will have. It will be an absolute, luxury to have that level of access to your system, access to yourself, access to your ability to navigate this world. Because the chaos is there, there's a lot going on. And for me, there's just nothing more beautiful that you can give to someone else than that freedom, that level of freedom, that level of sovereignty. And that is why I am here. That is why I do this work, because I want that for myself. And then how can I not share that to other people? I feel so different with having this setup with the room. And I was so stressed out today and so stressed out for this live. It's after 6 p.m. right now, and it was late because Simba and I had an important meeting this morning, and then we had to go to the city. So there was not really any ability to do it earlier. So I said, okay, I knew that there would be a lot of energies going on. So I felt very like this before I went on. And then something shifted, and it's just interesting, this process, how the body just shifts, and how uncomfortable this is getting sometimes, like today. It was really, really uncomfortable, and how quickly my body found another level of, like another space in the nervous system to do this from. And I was stressed about this setting. I felt that it really affected me. And that is how um, sensitive I'm getting. I can sense the shift of the safety of sitting in the corner, having that set up, and how I was one version of myself. And now turning around, it's open. I don't have that safety because the chair was like a safety, and leaning backwards. And now it's open. I sit on a bolster, completely different energy, completely different energy. So this is so important. And we're going to talk at some point about the atmospheres and the environments, like how much the environment really affect us. If I just did this small shift, and I can sense that I was moving into another level of um, stress in the nervous system just by shifting that, because I'm exposing myself. There's another version of me. And this is also with the embodiment, that people believe that you have to be regulated and perfect all the time. That's not embodiment. The embodiment is the devotion to the journey, not the devotion to perfection. Perfection is just doesn't exist. It doesn't exist. It's an illusion. And it's one that makes people very unhappy because they're chasing something that's not available. And in the quest for perfection, you it's like such a tragic belief of that something's wrong and that we are not worthy. And there's nothing wrong with being beautiful, you know. I was raised during Ricky Lake. If you have it, show it, or have it, flaunt it, or what they say. You do whatever you want, It's it's just an interesting life. And just sitting here, just looking at myself, all of a sudden I feel more like myself. So I'm literally watching myself change and become different people. And that's like, I always thought I had to be one version of myself, and I realize I have a million versions of myself. And that's the point. I don't have to change that. I don't have to correct that. And the perfection is just, it's boring, it's impossible. You butcher yourself. Yeah. So it's not about being perfect. It's about knowing what to do when you make a mistake. That's the point. Oh, yes. Got it. Not that we're not enough, and that there's, yeah, it's just it's not a healthy way, and it's not going to bring us any happiness. It's the forgiving part, it's the grace, the mercy, all of that needs to come in, and the punishment and the shame and the blame and the guilt, that just doesn't work. So it's the understanding and the compassion and the mercy, but for ourselves. And then if we strive after this perfection, we're not allowing the real selves to come out, and the truth of who we are. And that is the key. We come back to that all the time. It's coming back to the truth of who we are. That is the longing of the soul to live, to unite the soul and the human, fully divine, to live fully divine through this body. And when you feel the feeling of fully divine, the only you can do is to dance and praise and, sing in the rain and just hallelujah. That is the highest praise of the existence. That is what we do. And that is why the spinal work and the flow and all of this, to kind of connect to the body on such a deep level. And if the body is not open, we don't have access to these higher experiences. And you don't have to. I'm just here showing you that you can if you want to, and that it's up to each one. And I think we're going to see a lot more of this, because the feeling inside is just, it's the feeling that everyone's chasing, the peace inside. That's what people, spend all their earnings, all a life to experience. So I believe that mankind is going to go through a very interesting shift, because all of this information is out there. I'm not the only one teaching this. I'm not the only one experiencing this, and people are popping like popcorn. So we're going to see a lot of people, operating from a level of freedom inside, and that freedom will then manifest itself, so they are free in the material world as well. And it's not about, healing everything, or it's not about never making mistakes, or being perfect. We just got all of that wrong. It's about what we do when we make mistakes. Do we punish ourselves, others, and lock them up, or do we actually help people by learning and understanding and taking care of ourselves, each other? So it's a huge shift, and I feel like that is coming very deeply, and that the embodiment is one of the biggest keys. I thought that this was going to be a short one. Holy moly. I thought that I was done rambling. So I found a new version of myself. Okay. Savadika. Kapkunka. I will see you tomorrow. I'm gonna go chill. Have a good day. Ciao.